This one here is Touching My Body, Mass Tiempo, Skepta Jammer and Etta Bond. And it's only right we play this one now because we have a legend in the building. Right now, an icon is sat in front of me, a legend of British music, the British music scene, producer, DJ, artist, pioneer. You can't have a conversation about grime without discussing his parents' basement in Leytonstone, his platforms, Lord of the Decks, Lord of the Mics, Nasty Crew, Boy Better Know. He changed the game, he shaped the game, and now being a part of even more change when it comes to artists owning and monetizing off of their music. Jammer joins me in the studio now after shutting down Wireless, celebrating 20 years of Murkle Man, Boy Better Know, and 3 years of Mass Tiempo. Jammer, how are you today?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm brilliant. I'm gassed. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I grew up listening to Murkle Man. Like, I'm talking to Murkle Man, so I'm gassed.
It's 20 years this year.
20.
Well. Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Wireless, because obviously you were up there Saturday with Drake, done 3 days. And also Drake said something out there. He said that London rappers are the best lyricists in the world. How does that feel for you? For someone that's been a part of putting a lot of people on the map, how did it feel for you?
Yeah, it's good because obviously Drake's very respected. He's one of the biggest artists in the world. So, you know, for him to show his love and respect for the art form from London, it's just a great thing to show like how hard everyone from London has worked, just being such a small island. You know what I mean? And yeah, he said it to me personally the other day when I bucked him. You know, he was just talking to me about it and just like giving respect and honour where it's due. Do you know what I mean? It's like the scene's been here, you know, since early 2000s. You know what I mean? Well, inception 2099. So to become like such a, you know, global success musically and to just represent London and our accents and our swag and where we're from and everything, and to just be on a level playing field with the world, you know, on the world stage with artists from all across the world. That's important.
And there's like a sense of pride that we all feel anyway, like people from London, but even broader, like you said, hearing the accent, seeing us and what represents us in the culture is so important. For you, looking back at 20 years, how does it feel for you? Like, what have you learn't about yourself over this time as well? Because as much as when we go into this, we want to be in for the long game, sometimes we don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it as well. Just having that faith, knowing that you're doing something right. Sometimes you don't know exactly what it is, but you just can feel that this is the right thing that I'm meant to be doing right now. You know, it's just being present. And I think for me, musically, I've always tried to just be myself through my art. So to just see what we do, which is natural to us, being respected on the world stage, it's not like, we need, you know, confirmation from anyone, but at the same time, it's good to get a nod sometimes to know that, you know, you're really touching the corners, you know what I mean? And I think that's what's happening right now, even with the Skepta, Jonah Lucas, and, you know, kind of just putting everything on one playing field, especially with like London and America. You know, America's always been the bigger country, 52 states, the hip-hop culture came from there, and it's like 20 years of grime now, you know, it's like 30 plus years of hip hop. So we're actually really getting to the stage where we've actually implemented what we do and it's respected. And yeah, I just think it's positive, man. It
is. And I feel like we have to go back to Leytonstone, the basement, because there are going to be a lot of people that listen to all the subgenres that came out of grime. They're listening to your Daves, to your Stormzy's and all that now. And sometimes we forget history. We forget where it's come from. And we might even take it for granted and think, yeah, this is always how it's been. But no, a lot of it has come from a lot of MCs coming to Leytonstone, to your basement. Just tell us how that even started.
The basement was just basically that at that time there was just a lot going on in the east, also in north, south and west. You know what I'm saying? They took away a lot of the they took away a lot of the government funding for youth centres. Then there was, you know, a lot of things was happening in the areas. A lot of violence and things like that was rising because the kids didn't really have nowhere, and the man them didn't have really a space to be at. You know what I'm saying? So building that studio at the time was kind of like a hub to just get everybody in a place where we could actually do something that was, you know, positive and beneficial to everyone. You know what I mean? So and the result of that was like people actually making careers and sharpening their tools and becoming like the greatest artists that come from this country. You know, so just watching that timeline is amazing.
It is. And when I was deep diving, because with all my guests I like to watch many interviews and stuff, the main themes I was getting from like how you work is like DIY for one, doing it yourself, But also community as well. You use the term we a lot. You don't really say I. It's always for us. And even bringing everyone in. You could have easily said, right, I'm going to do this really just me. I'm going to focus on me. But you brought in so many people that obviously created this wave and now has gone on where we got artists like Drake literally standing on stages talking about London rappers are the best lyricists in the world. What informed that mentality for you growing up?
I think it comes from my parents, you know, come from our open door policy. It's community driven, do you know what I'm saying? My parents had a thing called East London Rastafarian Information Community Service. It just helped people in the community. So that's kind of the ethos. And my dad was just that type of person in the community anyway. So I'm just continuing what they was doing, but just, you know, on a wider scale. And like just the community part, what you said. And also there's no I in we. Do you know what I mean? I think the unity is the part that people are missing out. And it's like, even with what we're working on now, with the ownership of the music and straight bass and community, that's what it's really about. It's about giving back the power to the artists, letting the fans invest in the artists, and also, you know, get profits off the assets of what the artist is doing if they're supporting it also, you know what I mean? So it's, for me, mainly about ownership. This has always been about bringing people together, showing them how to sharpen their tools, which is DIY culture, giving them the tools, you know what I'm saying? You can give a man a plate of food, but you can teach him how to fish, you know what I'm saying? You feed him for life, you know. Plate of food, you're just going to feed him for a day. So I think grime in general, it's not just a BPM or music, it's a culture that, like I said, like you said, which is interesting that you noticed that it's DIY culture, and it's like, that's how we get busy. But the ownership part of it is really important now, because when we came in the game, we didn't know, you know, all the small prints and the label situations, and that, you know, it's about licensing and ownership and royalties, especially with how streaming is right now. You know, the value of art and music is definitely being depreciated by the higher, you know, the bigger companies, you know what I'm saying? And it is hard for some artists to maintain what they're doing independently now. You know? So just kind of really pushing the narrative of being able to be independent, having ownership, and different ways for people to digest your music, and different ways to put your music on the market, you know.
And I was watching one of your interviews, and you mentioned that your dad's an artist, a musician, and you took apart one of his drum kits as a child, and he wasn't very happy about it, but you put it back together. And from that, I was like, have you always really been interested in how things work? Because then also, with the inception of grime, it was just this burst of expression, really. But then you enter the music industry, and there's so much to understand and learn. So I really want to know, how much did you know going into it? And then what was like the biggest lessons you learned along the way?
I feel like I was around music my whole life, but technically going into like analog and digital recording at the time that it was all fresh to me. It was all new. I didn't go to school to learn it. So for me, it was like, again, it was all self-taught, and it's like audio visual learning, seeing something, understanding what it is, and like, just like you're talking about, like breaking down the drum machine. I always used to look in the back of the TV, old school TVs that had the orange light, and it's like, I always used to think, how did they get in the TV? Or,
that's what I used to think.
I used to think, how do they get the music in the needle? So I always had that thought process, and that kind of thought process led me to wanting to make music, and understanding the technical side of music and the science behind it, sound design and all the rest of it. So I think it's important for like artists to be inquisitive, because that's how you find new things, and I think that's how kind of grime was born, you know. A lot of inquisitive people that wanted to express, that didn't have a voice at the time, that wanted to have a voice. I think that's why the music's so powerful and it travels so far.
Yeah. And do you think as well, because when I think of grime, it's expression, and it's working class expression, to be honest. It's people going through it and they need to express that. And sometimes when you're going through it, you don't have the tools, or you don't have the access to understand things like the industry, the music industry. So even again, for you, how important is it that there is that access, that people can understand, cool, there's the making the music side of things, but then there's the ownership, there's the licensing, there's the masters. Because even me, I'm not an artist, I still don't understand when people are talking about masters.
That's the most important part. It's like the masters is the master recording. Who owns the master recording? A lot of artists, when they sign their deals, they don't own the master recording, so they get a bulk of money for that recording, but then the ownership of that recording, if a massive film company comes in or a massive gaming company comes in and license that piece of recording, the majority of that payment's going to go towards the person that owns it, and then a small percentage is going to go towards the artist. Whereas if you have ownership and you license your music, anytime someone wants to clear that record, or if they sample it or whatever, they have to come to you, not the person that bought the rights off of you. And this is something that not a lot of people are taught, you know. And even with like what we're doing with creating like music assets, that's 20 years of Murkle Man, so we're going to go live on Strayed Bass with 20 years of Murkle Man, where people can buy into it as a live asset, you know. For £1 you can buy a share, and then obviously we build a community through that and bring people together, and we have events and dinners and other, we attach utility to that, right? So that also brings your fans into your world, and you and them are kind of personally exchanging something now, because I think just how streaming is, the fans and the artists, they don't have so much connection with each other because everything is just kind of put in one place and you just have to find it. Whereas this kind of brings back that unique experience again for fans and artists.
Yeah, and it's something different, it's new, it's fresh. It's 20 years of Boy Better Know, 20 years of Murkle Man, and especially then there was a lot of crews, there was a lot of groups that you done it with.
Yeah.
We don't have that so much now. And do you think that's also changing the way we do things? Because ultimately, yeah, you've got your crew, but they're your business as well. You're all coming with different skills and ideas. And nowadays, it is just singular artists coming in. Yeah. What's your thoughts on where the crew's at?
I feel like we're the last crew standing.
20 years, Boy Better Know.
And I think it shows a representation of who you are, because if you can maintain something for 20 years with somebody, that means that you really have a good relationship with each other, and you also there's loyalty, there's respect there, and there's a love there, and unity is the greatest thing when you kind of succeed pushing something together with each other. And I think that's what we're losing in our community. I think as a black community as well, it's important for us to be working together much more, and sharing information, man, and finding new ways how to do things, and finding new ways to work together, and finding new ways to have ownership and building together, man. It's important.
Do you think we are in a day and age of instant gratification where people are focusing on just trying to get a hit right now and maybe not thinking about the longevity? Because with that, obviously, you need to start thinking about ownership, and you need to think about legacy and like, okay, how am I going to monetize off of this in the future? Do you think we are in a time now where, because of maybe social media, that everyone's just thinking of the now, and that is hindering our progression as a culture?
I wouldn't say it's hindering. Everything's a cycle, right? So you have to have one thing to respect the other thing, right? Some people are not meant to be the guy that does the whole long run. Some people they just want to do this thing, and they want to make music and they want to make money from it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that always leaves a space for somebody who's actually gonna paint a picture, use that space to create a storyline, a narrative, and something that actually is respected and also even tangible to a sense, you know. It's like something that people can actually respect and hold on to, and see the value in what the actual message is in the art. Do you know what I mean? There's Bob Marley, and then there's, I don't want to call out any other artists, but there's artists that just come and go, you know what I'm saying, throwaway artists. So I think it's important to have both sides of that, because it actually, you know, I don't want to say good and bad, but you don't know what's good unless you get some bad.
Yin and yang, the balance there.
It's a balance, you know what I mean?
So firstly, again, watching a lot of your interviews, I know you've been always talking about ownership as well, and even like whether people sign deals, and there's just kind of being a bit savvy with like what you're giving away and understanding it. Because also, I'm sure Boy Better Know never signed a deal, no?
No, independent up until this day.
Wow.
Actually headline majority of festivals around the world, no album.
So okay, what's the tool? Like, how do you do that? As in, because there's so many independent artists that probably would love to have 20 years running independent. How do you do that?
You don't bend. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you stick to your guns. You know what you're doing. You follow it through. You believe in it. Then eventually they have to respect it because it's evident that it's you doing it. You know, but a lot of people kind of feel like they're not getting where they want to be with their art, and they might sell it for a smaller price, but really the value on that small price that you're putting is kind of devaluing your art. And then it also makes you have to compromise, because if someone has ownership in your art and they say they want you to do it a certain way, then you're gonna have to compromise your art. Then now that's not really a good position to be in as an artist, you know. That's why you see a lot of artists like wanting to leave their deals and get out of their deals, and they're stressed out and they're going on the internet and they're typing and they're breaking down and doing all this stuff. Because being in control of your art is like one of the most important things, and having ownership of what you're doing and getting the rewards off of putting so much effort into something is important, because a lot of artists fall to the wayside because they don't reap the benefits that somebody else is reaping from their work. And then you see them on tour when they're like 56, trying to pay the bills.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly. And I know you've spoken a lot about just the importance of ownership and also wanting to create change, and that's what you're doing now. So what are you working on now?
What am I not working on now? So
you're busy.
Yeah, so we got like, I've been producing a lot of house electronic stuff.
Más Tiempo.
Yeah, me and Skip have the Más Tiempo label, so I've been producing a lot of stuff from that. I've been producing a lot of stuff for myself in the electronic world, also been producing a lot of grime stuff, but then also working on kind of this community aspect, this kind of ownership aspect, you know what I was saying again about the straight bass movement that we got going on, and just kind of bringing all that together into one space, the all music. It's not just genre like ceiling, it's not a genre ceiling anymore, do you know what I mean? Whereas before, grime was like, oh, those guys do grime and that's what they do and that's all they're allowed to do. Whereas now it's like we do music, and we also are here to educate people about music and educate people about ownership and educate people about the things they need to know in this industry. Do you know, I think information's important. A lot of things that I know now, if I knew when I first started my career, it would be a lot different, but I still wouldn't change it for anything. But at the same time, I still think everyone deserves to have the information that is necessary to succeed as an independent artist.
Yeah, and we are in a day and age of streaming, which has changed a lot. And there's a lot of conversation around it. And a lot of artists aren't happy with the way things are now, because ultimately you want to make a living off of your art. Like you said, you put so much into it. What's your prediction? Like, how do we get out of this space?
Take the desperation away from the art. Because that's what happens. People are in a situation and they feel like this piece of art or this thing that I'm doing is going to make me enough money to get out of this situation. But the desperation kind of, sometimes it can be good for the energy of the music, you know what I mean? But art is just meant to be what it is. It shouldn't be made because I'm trying to get something. It just is it. And any great artist that I kind of listen to or followed or seen, they are doing what their purpose is, or what they feel their purpose is, and that connects with culture and with people, and it actually ends up being bigger than they could ever think. I feel like when people especially try to do something for an outcome, sometimes it can work, but it's a very short-run journey.
Yeah, I guess there is, going in wanting something back straight away is a different energy and frequency, and I think also people pick up off that. Yeah. Because even from the inception of grime, it didn't feel like you wanted anything. It was just like, here we are.
We just wanted to be heard.
Exactly.
It wasn't about money. Yes. It's like people, a lot of genres, like especially like punk, it was out of it was about liberation, innit? It was a time when things were going on, people didn't feel like they were being heard, respected, didn't feel like they had the same opportunities, do you know what I'm saying? And that builds up a lot of frustration, especially as young black men, especially, you know. And a lot of people take it out in different ways. They might go down the street road, this road, that road, a lot of different roads. But music was it was a direct path of an outlet as well, and some people took that path. And yeah, I think that's important to know, that you need to know where you're going to channel what you're feeling, and I think that's what grime is. It was a lot of people at a time when you heard Dizzy Rascal for the first time, stop that, get that what. It's like a lot of kids out there, he's got a Nokia, take that what. It like felt like, right, that's me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we didn't have voices that sounded like us and represented us at the time, so all we had was, you know, American rappers, and we had a few here. We had like Rodney P, we had like Skinny Man, Kalashnikov, and a few before that, London Posse. There was a few people that were pushing the London accent and stuff like that, but not as much as we was pushing it, because I think that we brought the context of our own identity, where hip-hop is always going to be looked at as something that you're emulating from an American culture. That's why it's called UK hip-hop.
Yeah.
So it's not ours, it's not our real identity, where grime was birthed from here, jungle was birthed from here, right? You know, so it's two different kind of approaches.
Yeah. And even with that, there was the importance of the visibility with the music, but now it's also about that representation in the boardrooms, the people making the decisions, the structure, the system. Do you know what I mean? And that's also what you're part of, like advising now, just how we can shift this, where, like you said, there is that ownership there. With 20 years of Murkle Man, just what are you doing for this moment?
Well, you know, we're celebrating. Again, I said, we're going live. Me and Dwight are kind of been working on how we're going to deliver this, you know, this piece with Straight Bass again, and, you know, show people that there's a continuation in legacy, and it's a part of something. It's something to be a part of, and it's something to buy into and support, and also reap benefits from. You know, there's many aspects to it. It's not always just about money. Sometimes it's about being a part of something as well. You bring those two together with understanding how royalties work, and understanding how ownership works, and understanding how to create an ecosystem, then now we're already doing a great job, because we're showing people the value of their royalties and the value of owning your art.
And you've also got Big Smoke Festival coming up as well.
And that one's crazy as well. We've got 2 days as well. 2 days,
because one day is ultimately like the grime, and then we got the house.
Yeah, so it's grime. It's also hip hop. There's you know, people like Mahalia. There's different people that have been on the stage. So it's across the board. It's like, I call that one the music day, the performance day.
Yeah.
You know, and then the second day is the Master Emperor, where it's more DJ driven and electronic, like music and instrumental. It's a more instrumentalized approach on the second day.
Is there anything that, how do you compare stepping out on stage as like Jammer, Murkle Man, and then stepping out on stage doing Mass Tiempo?
It's like Batman and Bruce Wayne kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what? I think my mum saw you in Ibiza, you know, actually. She was so excited, and I was jealous. I was like, how have I not seen Mass Tiempo yet? But I think that'll change with Big Smoke Day coming up.
Yeah, man. Calm down.
Listen, I'm there. You don't have to tell me twice. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you just for what you've done for the culture. And it's brilliant seeing, like, now we've got the exhibitions. People are really talking about it. And I think it's also that just reminders to people just to do it, because you never know where you're going to be in 20 years.
The Museum of London had an exhibition of my basement.
Yeah.
That kids were coming from school to learn about, like, in the curriculum, which is crazy to me, because when I was young, I used to go to the same museum to learn about things that was happening in London. Now we are that part of culture that has happened in London, that, you know, third generation Windrush, and then also my other African brothers integrating, and us just kind of coming together as a black community. We are setting a precedence for people that come from England to come. We haven't been here that long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I know,
right?
In hindsight.
And what we're setting, the future looks bright. Not just for young black men, for men and women across the board, just in a general of art. But obviously, I could speak for myself, where I'm coming from. And yeah, I just think it's great, because now it's not even a colour thing, it's a class thing, you know. That's what I've noticed in a lot of situations. But yeah, I think the music is revolutionary. It's done great things for so many different people. We've got great artists, Kano, Skepta, you know, Chip. We've even got singers, Georgia Smith, Sench. You know, there's a lot of Shy Cartier. There's so many people coming through now that are kind of just taking the baton and elevating to the next level and showing their story and bringing their identity out in the British London, not even just London, just that British UK way. You know?
Yeah, because you've also worked with like JK, right? Also, because it does feel very London-esque as well. But in more recent years, we have seen a lot of more artists coming from the Midlands and other parts.
But people say that, but you're skipping the part where me and Skep sat down and purposely understood that Devil Man needs to be a part of Lords of the Mics too, which he was from Birmingham and had an accent. That was like how in America now they used to not really take the from the South the accent serious, right? But there's always, if you look back at the timeline, we've always been trying to put that accent and other accents, man, just all around into the ethos of what's going on. So it might seem like a new thing because JK and everybody's socked and everybody's coming through now and we got missed, but we've been doing that since 2003.
Yeah, so it's the ripples. Literally, you start, then it starts to ripple out, and then eventually wider people catch on, and then that's how we create change. That's how we shape culture.
I feel like we've created a lot of change already. I feel like now, if everybody's seen the change and what's possible, I feel like everyone should just be going harder to push towards more greatness and just unifying and working together. You know what I'm saying? And just doing greatness.
Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. I look forward to Big Smoke Fest as well. And also just continuing to change, not just the music that we hear, but how it's made and shaping artists' experience within the industry as well. And
make sure you follow us on the gram.
Yeah, where are we following you?
Jammer BBK on the gram, do you know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Yeah, like, I'm going to be putting up some stuff about the 20 years of Murkle Man. So if you want to get involved, if you want to come and see about ownership, and if you want to, you know, follow the journey, just follow me on the gram and I'll send you and point you to the right direction.
Perfect. We're going to play some Family Tree because I feel like it only makes sense.
It's only right.
Here we go.
Got the gang with me. Boy, better know that's the family tree. Way too 30. We set the bar from early. Rude boy, check out the journey.